Oh, hello there. As you may have guessed, it's taken me a little longer than I thought to get going on the Woolly rebuild. Figures. I should note, this is not a puppet build tutorial, but more of my own personal exercise in combating perfectionism just by starting this process. Like it is for most of us, I think my procrastination comes from the pursuit of perfection, or really, the fear of being bad at something you really want to be good at. I think everyone that sets a goal or gets back into a project runs into this. Because I had already built Woolly once before, there was a high expectation set when it came to the idea of rebuilding him. I felt like I had to be ready before I could start. So many attempts at starting were met with being too busy, too tired, too unprepared, etc. The funny thing is, when I built Woolly for the first time all those years ago, I was not in a clear headspace. It was not perfect timing, and I felt bad at it the entire time, up until it was done. So, knowing that, I invite you to join me on this quest to rebuild Woolly. Let's see how this goes. Most puppet heads are made out of foam, but in order to get to foam, we have to use clay first. The clay used is non-sulfur plastilina clay. It was fitting that this clay starts out tough but gets easier the more you work with it, just like the entire puppet building process. I should note, if you want to learn how to do this, I have to send you over to the YouTube channel Puppet Nerd, helmed by the late great Adam Kreutinger. Without his welcoming and insightful videos, I would not have been able to make Woolly. If you follow his videos, you'll understand what I mean. He was the man, and he is missed. Now that we can see a head shape emerging, I decided to carve in some rough features, just to orient where things need to be. This sculpt is just for creating the head shape and mouth area on Woolly. Speaking of the mouth area, it's time to cut that out. The main thing I want to focus on with the mouth is getting the size and depth right. Taking the time to refine this area will make future steps in the build process a lot easier. And there we go. Now, on to masking. Using Scotch masking tape, I ripped a bunch of little pieces and stuck them to one half of the sculpt. If you end up doing this, make sure you get masking tape that actually sticks to the clay. You'll thank me later. After 2 layers of tape are on the sculpt, we're ready to move on. Next, we're making our pattern that I'll use to make the final foam head shape. To do that, we're going to mark a center line on the middle of the sculpt. The goal is to be as symmetrical as you can, so that the final head shape accurately reflects the original sculpt. In addition to the center line, I also draw these things called darts that once cut will allow me to transfer this round pattern onto a flat piece of paper. We're pretty much done with the clay at this point, since the only thing left to do is peel the tape from the sculpt. You want to take your time with this, since the tape needs to be preserved as one piece. Next, we need to cut away the excess tape as well as cutting along our dart lines. After that, it's time to transfer to a piece of paper. When applying the tape shape to the paper, I found it was good to start from the center and then move outward. Once it's nice and flat, I can trace the shape onto the paper and then remove the masking tape. And there you have it, a head pattern made from a clay sculpt. But since this puppet head needs to fit my hand inside, we need to make it bigger. In order to enlarge the pattern, I gotta scan this into the computer, scale it up about 175%, and then print it out using 2 sheets. There's our original, and here's the enlargement. When you overlap the 2 prints, you can see the full pattern. I cut out one of the sheets first so that I can align them accurately, and then I tape them together. Now that they're taped, I can start cutting them both out from the excess paper. And before you know it, we have our pattern, before and after. Next is one of our main components, the 1/2-inch foam. This will be the base material that gives the puppet head its structure. I use the pattern to rough cut the amount of foam that I'll need. Once I have the foam piece, I place the pattern and begin the tracing process. I found that a felt tip pen works well for marking the foam. When one side is done, I flip it over and trace again. Take your time while doing this, since any deviations will make the head shape uneven. Now we gotta cut them out. Whenever using an X-Acto blade on a new project, always replace the blade for a fresh one. Even with a fresh blade, however, it's still a little tricky cutting the foam. I just took my time and did the best I could, staying on the line. With our 2 pieces, it's time to glue them together. Contact cement has nasty fumes, so I move outside to work with it, as well as using gloves. First, we will be joining all of the darts, so I take my time applying the cement to all of the dart edges, and then once the cement is activated, I start joining the darts together. You really gotta let this stuff sit for a minute to activate it, or else the bond won't stick. So there's one side, and here's the other. Now it's time to join them. I repeat the same process of applying the cement to the outer edges of each half. I wait for the glue, and then join them together. The gluing process takes a good bit of finessing, tweaking, and fine-tuning. So long as you align the two halves at their dart intersections, the resulting shape should come together. Finally, we join the halves at their final point. Tidy up some loose ends, and we have our puppet head shape. At least, that's what I thought, until I noticed how narrow the head was. This head shape is technically fine. It would have worked, but I had a foam head from the original woolly pattern, and when I compared them, the width was concerning. So, I decided to extend the new pattern and make a new head. It always sucks having to redo stuff, but I think it'll be worth it. I trace the new pattern to foam, cut them out, and bring them back outside to start a new glue up. So, I glue the darts, let them sit, combine them, and then repeat the process on the other side. Then I combine the two halves one more time, and before you know it, we are in business. Oh, we're in the home stretch now. What's next is making the mouth plate. We get that shape from tracing the outline of the mouth onto a piece of paper. I outline the trace, cut it out from the paper, fold it, trace it, flip it, trace it again, cut it out, and finally transfer the symmetrical piece onto a piece of wood. After some more tracing, we have our shapes. Now we gotta cut them out. I use a pull saw to cut through the rough chunks of the plywood. I'm taking my time cutting around the tracing, carefully making my way closer to the line. Before long, they're pretty much there. I chose wood for the mouth plate because it's lightweight, absorbs moisture, and it's sturdy. I combined the two plates with tape to keep them uniform for the final refining. After a little rasping and sanding with 80 and 120 grit sandpaper, these things are shaped. Real quick, I'm using the mouth plate to make the plug shape for the inside of the head, but that'll come later because first we gotta add finger holds to these mouth plates. If you notice, I have slightly different mouth plates here, and that's because, once again, I realized the shapes that I had were just slightly too shallow and too wide, so I revised the shape and remade them off camera. Having to remake stuff is just part of the process, but I want it to be good. To make the finger holds, I marked where my fingers rested, marked uniform drill holes, and proceeded to punch a hole on all of the marks. I found myself having fun doing this part because adding these finger holds will be a major upgrade for both comfort and function. Finally, I finish with the drill, and voila, we have our sewing holes. Speaking of sewing, I decided to use linen thread to sew the elastic material to the wood since it's used in bookbinding, and if it's good enough for books, it's good enough for woolly. Once I have the anchor knot in place, it's just some pretty simple in and out stitches to tie the elastic to the wood. As soon as I had the thumb attached, I felt the instant control I had and knew all these steps leading to this were worth it. I snip the excess banding and move on to the top plate. For the top plate, it's the exact same as the bottom, so we'll just coast through this. Once they were both attached, it was an incredible feeling to slip them on since they fit like a glove. Now it's time to attach these mouth plates permanently to the foam head. Back outside, I coat the mouth border and mouth plate perimeter with contact cement and let them sit before folding the foam head into the mouth plates. Folding it over helps give that curve where the lips might be. Once that's done, I move on to the top. And once again, here we are. Now the mouth plates and foam head are one piece. Next, it's time to make the head plug. Starting with 1-inch foam, I take the plug shape from before and make a trace onto the foam. I found that gloves are needed with the felt tip pen since the ink can stay on your fingers. I cut out the shape as best I can and then place some fleece material down to cut a portion that will be glued to the plug. I only need half of the plug covered, so with that cut, it's time for one more trip outside. I contact cement the two surfaces we want bonded together, let them set, and fold the excess over. This is what will be facing the knuckles of the puppeteer. I cement the inside of the head, and then the outside of the plug. Again, I wait for it to set, and then carefully attach the plug to the inside of the head. Lastly, it's time to fill the head above the plug with polyfill. I grab my X-Acto knife with my custom visible cap and begin cutting an incision into the top of the head. Then I proceed to fill up the area with fiberfill and finally glue the incision shut. Whew! Whew! So, after all that, here's how it looks. Pretty happy with how it's turning out so far. Next, we're gonna put some fleece on this thing, as well as some fur. We're gonna build a body for it, hands, face features, all that kind of stuff. That'll come out in future videos, which should be coming out in a month from now. So we're doing good if you see me in a month. Hopefully you do. All right, that's enough for this one. See you next time.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe.